We're back again with the 2006 Sport. Got the wheel issue settled last night. I was lucky enough, I found a set of 2011 JK 17-inch Moab wheels on Craigslist. I got a set of 5 of them, 4 on the vehicle now. I got one over there for the spare. I had a set of adapters from a former project, and I ended up finding a set of 4 tires on Craigslist as well. Kind of sad I'm in the tire business, but for the price I got some 17-inch, 32-inch tall Goodyear Wrangler silent armors. Probably about 3/4 of tread remaining on them. 250 bucks. Couldn't pass it up. Just want to stop the bleeding on this Jeep and keep costs down a bit. So get the wheels for $300 for the set, including the brand new spare and 5 tire pressure sensors, which I can use elsewhere, I'm sure, eventually. Plus the tires, so it wasn't a bad investment. I actually like the look on the TJs with the JK wheels. A lot of people don't, but it gives it a more modern look, and with the JK springs and shocks, I think it's just natural that we go with the JK wheels on this one. So the big question now is how to mount the spare on the stock tire hanger. The last JK wheel conversion I did on one of these, I had a swing away tire carrier bumper, so I modified that. It wasn't that difficult. I want to keep this one mostly stock. I know there are adapters, I'm sure, available, but I wasn't going to buy another Spider-Trax adapter just for the spare. So my plan is scavenging through my parts bins here, my scrap metal pile. I've got a rotor with a 5 on 4.5-inch bolt pattern, an old rotor, and we did a couple rear bearings on an Explorer today, so I knocked the studs out of one of the old hubs, and I see this hub fits with the race on it right in there pretty tight. And I've got my 1.5 inch or so spacing that I need. So the plan would be to cut out the bolt circle on the rotor with the plasma cutter, clean it up with the grinder, and next I'll take this this hub, Explorer hub. The race is almost pressed all the way off, but stuck there now. I'm going to slice the race right about where my thumb is, leave a little collar on there, leave a little bit in there to weld to. I'll slice that off clean, and then I'll weld the race to the hub and then the race to the rotor. So in essence we'll have this will be the mounting plate with the correct bolt pattern. We'll bolt right on to the stock spare carrier. I'll take the Explorer hub, which obviously is not the right bolt pattern, but the center hub fits in the JK wheel fine. And you can see the bolt holes a little bit off. I will oblong these 3 holes here, drop some studs in, and then tack weld them into place, and then take it out and fully weld. So off the back of the Jeep it'll be this with 3 studs. It'll be the right thickness to pull the tire away from the spare carrier because of the offset difference on the wheel and the larger tire. The mounting plate, back of it, will bolt right onto the stock 4.5-inch bolt pattern on the tire carrier with 3 nuts rather. And in the future, if the wheels ever come off and stock wheels go back on the Jeep, this piece is completely portable, can be taken off and set aside. So that's the plan. Let me get going on that, see how it turns out. A slight design change, just because I have the cutoff wheel. I want to make straight cuts. Got the bearing race sliced down, and it fits nicely. in the rotor here. So I got a nice V-groove to weld around, so that'll be a nice fit. Instead of cutting the bolt circle out of the rotor completely, I decided just to cut a triangle out. Just use the 3 bolt holes that will actually bolt to the back of the Jeep. Works out because I eliminate all this extra crap here. That'll just make it look even more homemade than it's going to look in the first place. Plus the cuts are a little easier and I won't have to get my plasma cutter out. So I'll finish cutting this out with the whiz wheel, clean it up on the grinder. We'll get the hub modified a little bit to get a larger bolt pattern on there, and weld it up, see how it looks. So I get the back plate all cut out and just dressed it up a little bit on the bench grinder. It's pretty solid. I don't know if this rotor this must be a cast piece, so I imagine this is cast too, but I think it'll be plenty strong enough to support the weight of the spare. So the plan is, and I'll have to modify these holes to get the larger bolt pattern before I go any further and get the studs in there, because as soon as this is welded on, I won't be able to get a full-length stud. I could probably cut the stud down and sneak it in there, but we'll get that hub done first and clean up the back of the hub once it's welded. It's a pretty ugly cut, but it's the right depth. So I cut out 3 of the lug bolt holes in the hub. Not very elegant. I used an acetylene torch. I'm going to weld the studs in anyway, so they don't have to be perfect holes. But because of the ease of the cutting, and I don't want to be here all night with a Dremel tool or a reamer. So the benefit of using the Ford hub, ideally if I had a JK front hub, but I haven't had the chance to replace one of those bearings yet, but I did have a Ford Explorer. So another benefit of the Ford hub, it has the same half 20 thread pitch that the Jeep uses. So we throw the studs in like that. I'm putting nuts on the front side just to make sure the studs stay tight and centered while I tack weld them in. I'm not going to fully weld them until later. Well, the finished product. Got the hub with the 3 studs repositioned further out. Got the race welded on, or what's left of the race. Got that centerpiece of that Ford rotor welded on the back there with the 5 on 4.5 bolt pattern. So this will accomplish what I needed to. It'll bolt right on the stock spare tire carrier. I'll get some half 20 nuts, get them started so it sucks in like that. It's spaced out well enough to accommodate the more positive offset JK wheel with the JK bolt pattern, and that's not coming apart. That's not going anywhere. The best thing about it, if someone chooses to go back to stock wheels on this car, they can just take that off and not have to look for a new spare tire carrier. Well, that's it for tonight. Night 5, I guess. Lost track. But anyhow, a lot of progress done. Got the Craigslist wheels and tires on there. I'll have to dig up a spare tire. I went with a little larger tire, 265/17, and the all-terrain Goodyear. But the 255 will be fine for a spare. So spare mount worked out pretty well. I might have spaced it out a little bit too far. There's no way the tire is going to come in contact with the bumpers there. So it looks like the rack is going to support the whole weight of the tire and wheel, which shouldn't be too big of a deal. I think the 17-inch diameter wheel, even if it wasn't spaced out so far, probably would have prevented the tire from hitting those bumpers anyways. We'll get a spare mounted on that. Got the carpet in today. Used the front half of the nifty carpet set. Looks like the underdash light isn't working on that side. We'll go on the passenger side. A checklist item. It looks like the battery's probably running down. Anyhow, we got the carpets in, got the nifty carpets on the front. Both sides, got the newly upholstered seats back in. Everything works. They both tumble forward like they should. Now the console had to come out tonight. That took more time than I thought. Once I got it out, realized how grungy it was. The subwoofer grill was just packed full of dog hair and change, and I found all kinds of stuff under the console, forks, spoons, old lottery tickets. So that required a bit more cleanup time than I anticipated, but it's all back together now. Everything's clean. There won't be any surprises falling out from under the console. So I think the next thing is just get the alignment done with the tires and wheels on it. The track bar adjustment could be a bit better. We're sticking out a little bit on the right rear and a little less on the left rear, but it's not terrible. The front's no worse, I believe. There's the right front, and then it should be popping the left front wheel out a little further. Yeah, just a tiny bit, maybe a ½ inch. That's not terrible. We'll throw the alignment, throw on the alignment machine, see where it sits. Basically, it's there. Got the wiper arms off, clean them up, threw a coat of paint on them. They'll dry overnight. Still have to address the ceiling here. Still get that mold. I just get some house bleach on a rag, and hopefully that'll start coming off fairly easily. I'll throw a tarp over the interior so I don't bleach anything else out inadvertently. But this grab handle probably will be addressed. Gone through a lot to make this truck as perfect as possible, but this grab handle has a bunch of knife cuts in it. And I'll call the dealer tomorrow, see if those are available in the correct color and they're not too much money. Get that replaced. And maybe the center stack vents need a coat of paint. I stole them out of another dash I had kicking around there. They're gray, but they're lighter gray than the rest of the interior. So maybe I'll just take them out and spray paint them, or leave them alone. Just go through a quick punch list, make sure everything works, put some miles on it, and this one will be done. Close the book on the 2006 yellow TJK. Enough JK parts on this, we'll call it the TJK. Alright, till next time. Next time will be the last video probably. And we'll see what other projects we can start after that.